Boop, and we are recording. It is a go. So, basically,
Lift off,
what we were
boys.
talking about before we started recording, and then we just decided to record it anyways, is that we were talking about our favorite podcasts and what we think podcasts, usually what makes them the best is if they zero in on one subject, like they focus on one single subject.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of podcasts that do that.
Yeah. Some of my favorites, my three favorites that I can think of off the top of my heads are um, Cold Ones. That is honestly it's probably my favorite podcast. It's just
Yeah,
it's
The one thing I will say about them though, and this isn't to really knock them, it's just a really dumb nitpick of mine,
mhm.
is I don't completely love I don't know, they laugh really hard sometimes at things repeatedly to the
Yeah.
point where I think they're fake laughing sometimes
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be entertaining, but that's just me. I could be wrong. Maybe it's real laughing, it just seems fake.
I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean,
I think it's a combo of
oh,
real laughter and fake combo. Fake
ooh, I like
laughter.
that better actually. I just full screened the Discord thing, and that looks a lot better, especially since then I don't have to edit in and zero in on it. I literally already am recording it all by itself.
So we restart now.
No, we'll just leave that in. It's a podcast. It's raw. It's
I'm
raw,
we're
dog.
restarting right now already. We're restarting already.
Nah,
We already ruined it.
nah, it's raw, dog, Rob. We just go with it. But yeah. So Cold Ones, one of my favorites. Actually, my favorite. Although I don't even know if you could consider them a podcast now, because they used to be pretty podcast where they would bring on a guest and talk. Now it's kind of a little more like just a really a huge budget YouTube channel. It kind of feels like now, because how they
Yeah.
buy a bunch of stuff from Fiverr, for instance, and stuff like that, and it's highly edited. It used to not even be
One
super
of my
highly
favorite
edited.
episodes was the one when they did the that one website where you pay celebrities to say things.
Yeah,
That was a great episode.
yeah,
They got Gilbert Godfrey.
that was the best one. Yeah, Gilbert Godfrey, where he just literally would say anything.
But yeah, it's best when they focus in on one thing rather than have an hour and throughout that hour there's 15 minutes of this thing, 15 minutes of this thing, 15 minutes of that thing.
Yeah. So my favorites, Cold Ones, Jar Media, which is I Hate Everything and a couple of his friends basically. And yeah, and they usually focus on one topic, although I also know that they have a actual main podcast where they talk about a bunch of different subjects. But the only videos I watch are the ones where they get together and talk about a specific thing, like a show or a movie, like Big Mouth, for example. They talked about that in one of them. And probably my least favorite, but I still actually really like it, and I listen to it from time to time, is Ear Biscuits with Rhett and Link. And they focus on one subject.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like Ear Biscuits quite a bit.
Yeah. And they focus on one subject as well. Even though it's a more general one.
Podcasts, but I listen to Ear Biscuits once in a while. I listen to Bad Friends once in a while.
I need to check out Bad Friends. I haven't yet.
I think it's because they're both comedians and they're friends, so they have good chemistry. So not only are they just funny people in general, but they have good chemistry together, is what makes that podcast good, is because they're just funny.
Yeah.
And they're just really good friends. So it just works really well. Even though they are one of those podcasts that jump from topic to topic.
Yeah.
So that's the part I don't like about their podcast, but I think it still works because they're literally comedians. So whatever topic they're on, they end up making it funny.
Yeah. But yeah, those are my top three favorites. And I think that's just about it, really. We've covered what we were trying to say, which is that we think that the best podcasts, they cover one subject per podcast. So it's kind of like the whole saying, "Jack of all trades isn't as good as a master, or as a master of none." I mean, or something like that. However the saying goes.
Master of None is a movie. That's all I know.
Nah, that's a Netflix TV show.
Oh yeah, it's a show. Okay.
Yeah.
Aziz Ansari is in it.
Yeah. I haven't even seen it at all. That's kind of funny.
I binge watched like a whole fucking season of it because I had literally nothing else to do, and it's not one of those shows that's like amazing, but it's not terrible. So you're kind of like, I have nothing else to do, might as well.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of it, but for some reason it's like one of those shows that like it's one of those shows that kind of like sticks in your brain for some reason, even though like I don't even have any interest in watching it at all.
Maybe the title, because it's actually a pretty cool title.
Yeah, I'll give it that. It's a pretty fun title.
Now we're starting to turn into the podcasts that we don't like.
Yeah, we're covering Master of None. Guys, this is our review on Master of None.
Hey, but this is the part I do like about podcasts in general, though, is when they're organic. So, like, even if we try our best to stick at one topic, I think it's fine if we veer off at least for like a second and then come back to the main topic, because then it's more organic. It's not scripted.
Yeah, especially if it's more like just a tangent. Because Master of None was that whole thing was kind of a tangent because I was bringing up the fact that podcasts that talk about a bunch of stuff, they kind of feel like a jack of all trades, a master of none. Whereas someone that zeroes in on one subject, it kind of feels more like organized and like clear.
So our podcast is mainly going to be every episode we're focused in on one thing, and that one thing will either be like a new game or a new show that came out that we've binge watched, or a new movie that came out, or something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of, since it's Tots, it'll be our thoughts on things, and those things will be shows, movies, or games that come out.
Yeah, and it's also not like completely restricted to that either.
I guess, yeah,
because we could talk about
really big happens. We could talk about something else.
Happens. Like for instance, well, not only that, but just in general, like it doesn't have to just be that a game released. We could talk about gaming events, like if like E3 2021. We could talk about that Pokemon when it comes around.
Fest. Can't wait to talk about that.
Oh God, yes.
Who even plays Pokemon Go anymore?
People watching. Anybody that's watching this video, they're like, "Bro, I can't wait for their podcast on Pokemon Go Festival, bruh."
Which is never gonna happen. Yeah, if there's fans out there that want that Pokemon Go Fest episode, bro, you guys are gonna be waiting for something that will never happen.
Yeah, you'll be waiting for a Half-Life 3, basically.
If we made this podcast like what? 5 how old is Pokemon Go? Isn't it like 4 years old or something?
It's old as fuck.
If we made it like when it came out,
though.
Or like before it came out, since we were younger and we actually enjoyed it when it first came out, so then you probably would have got an episode, at least one, on Pokemon Go, but not now.
Yeah.
Not now. We're too old for it, for one. For two, it's just it's not a bad, not too old.
Yeah.
The thing is it's not a great game. It's not a great game. That's all I'll say. And then
I mean, I don't think it's a bad game. It's just we played it so much that it's like we're completely drained of it. So it's like, oof.
Anyway,
even then, I don't think we would have really talked about it because I don't really care about Pokemon Go. Even when we played it, I didn't care about talking about it. I more just cared about it's kind of fun to play and do, and like mainly to hang out with friends and stuff.
Yeah, even when I liked it, I was kind of like, I don't know. It was just kind of fun to like walk around, like have an excuse to get some exercise.
Yeah.
I can play a game and exercise. Holy crap!
Yeah, that was one of the like
that
most
thing.
Yeah, that was like the biggest like thing that was pretty cool about it. Is like, hey, they made exercise kind of fun. Actually, I gotta give them credit for that.
But anyway, this episode is not Pokemon Go.
No, it is not. And if you are waiting for that one, sorry, it's never happening.
Yeah, probably not, unless they do something really crazy.
They go Pokemon Go to the polls.
Go to the they become fucking Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Epic.
But that's what the sequel's called. Pokemon Go 2: The Polls.
Wow.
Yeah,
That
I
sounds
know.
epic.
I know. I honestly can't wait for the sequel. It's gonna be fantastic. But yeah, like you said, this is not Pokemon Go review. This is.
I don't know. It kind of seems like it is now.
Yeah. You know what? Let's just make it Pokemon Go.
let's just do it, guys.
Yeah, let's just do it. Nah, we're on this episode we are going to be reviewing Marvel's Avengers, basically just, sharing our thoughts on them, and at the end we're going to give a rating, a score out of 10.
out of 10?
Yeah, out of 10.
Okay.
You're like, hold up, I don't have a score out of 10.
Well, I mean, I don't, because this one is really hard to kind of score. But
yeah, I mean, I get what you mean.
Since you have notes, though, you can start us out, though.
Okay. And the notes are really just here, just so that we can kind of like, if we're like having a dookie brain part where we can't think of necessarily what is next, then I can just go to the notes and be like, all right, guys, next up is this.
Well, I feel like we should start with campaign.
Really?
Campaign. Yeah, because I mean, the multiplayer is kind of the thing that is supposed to make the game survive after the campaign. It's supposed to, but whether or not that'll happen, we will have to just wait and see.
Yeah.
But
so do you want to tackle the gameplay or the story?
Well, the gameplay is really good, so I don't really know how much I have to say about the gameplay other than it's just really good. Like, it actually feels really good and it's fun to play.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it. Except for when it's glitching or bugging out, then it's not so fun.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only reason I wanted to bring up gameplay is because I agree with you for the most part. Besides the bugs and glitches, it's fun. It's just, you want to bring up negatives and positives when you're reviewing something, so then people aren't just being like, wow, you're only bringing up positives. Wow, you're such a negative Nancy.
Wow. You're a negative Nancy if all you're doing is destroying the game with negativity, but then if you give it nothing but positivity, then you're just like positive Andy.
You're a positive Polly or positive Andy. I don't know. Whatever.
I like positive Andy.
Yeah. Okay. You're positive Andy. You're either negative Nancy or positive Andy.
That's how it is.
Yeah. So yeah, let's just I broke up the gameplay into traversal, combat, map, just because I thought I might as well bring up how the map, I guess, quote unquote, works.
Map, quote unquote.
Yeah, because I mean it's not really a map, but you know what I mean.
The world.
You know me.
The world within the levels.
Yeah.
I guess it's really maps because there's multiple.
Epic. Oh, you mean the levels? I meant map as in what you use to find your way around the map. It's not really a map. You just click up on the D-pad.
Oh, okay, that's why.
Yeah, and then you see all the icons and stuff.
It's not a map in the game. This isn't like GTA 5 where they got a mini map for you. Yeah, it's tactical awareness.
Yeah,
that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Which,
and since we're already talking about it,
I don't think is a great. I don't know. I think it's a good addition and a bad addition to the game.
I mean, I understand it when it bugs out, but I think it's pretty good actually.
I like the idea for extras to see them, you press tactical awareness to see them, and they're question marks, and then you get closer, and then you can see through tactical awareness when you get close enough if it's an ally to save or a chest to loot or whatever it is. That I like, but I really don't like that they've kind of locked being able to see where your friends are behind tactical awareness.
Yeah.
I feel like there should be a way that's just you don't have to press any buttons at all to see where your friends are.
Yeah. Like maybe when you can't, like when your friends get somewhat far away from you, like instead of clicking up or down to do tactical awareness, you would instead just like their icon would pop up if they get a bit far from you. So then you know where they are. Instead of having to click the arrow to see their icon.
Yeah, you know how they have like those like circular superhero icons above their heads when you do use tactical awareness, and that's how you see your friends.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like everybody should just have that above their head in general. Like if you're playing multiplayer.
Yeah.
If you're not playing multiplayer, it kind of makes sense because you're not going to be looking for your friends because they're just NPCs.
Where'd that computer go?
Where's
my god! I wouldn't blame you though if you lost one of your computers, because the fucking AI is trash.
It's weird because it's like really good at times and then it's completely awful at other times.
I had no experiences where I thought the AI was good.
Oh boy!
I mean, like for instance, at the end of the game when I was playing Hulk and you know I was with Kamala and like fighting waves of enemies, I would get downed because I was severely not as strong as Hulk because I haven't been playing Hulk as much. So then he was like way under leveled and under geared
In the final mission of the story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is also a problem
I was
with the
maining
game.
Hulk, so that part was not difficult for me.
Yeah.
Which I still think is a problem though, because I mained him, so it wasn't a problem for me at the final mission. But because you weren't playing him that much, it was a problem for you, and I see that overall as a problem.
Oh yeah.
That some
100%.
players, because they didn't pay too much attention to Hulk in the main story, that they could have like problems at the final level.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think that in itself is a problem.
Yeah, and yeah, it was a bit frustrating because that Kamala was like actually just like completely brain dead. Like I would get downed and then she would run over to me to revive me and then she would just stand in place and let the enemies hit her off of my
Wow,
revive thing.
that sounds
And she wouldn't even fight back.
So did would the AI ever revive you? That's
if
one of
I
the
got
things
lucky enough.
I would give them. That's what I was gonna say is why I'm like they're good sometimes and they're terrible other times because I'll be playing like any mission in the game and I'll literally be sitting there needing reviving and I'll wait for a long time and then sometimes they will revive me like in the last 10 seconds. Other times they'll revive me like right away, like immediately. And then other times they flat out won't. It'll 45 seconds will go by of me sitting there and all three of them are up. None of them are down. They can all come get me and just they all refuse. They're just like no. And I'm like,
no, I don't care about you.
You guys feel like actual human players because you're being assholes on purpose.
Yeah. They're like, wow, is the AI actually intelligent because they designed them to be assholes?
Yeah, they designed them to have asshole traits like humans. Doesn't that make it like even better?
Wow, that's fantastic design.
Bad design, but fantastic AI, bro.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely a problem.
Yeah, and there was another
Especially for people who play the game primarily by themselves. And I know that there's going to be a lot that play it with their friends, and there will be a lot that play it by themselves.
Yeah, and there was another example when I was playing, I think Thor on the helicarrier mission, and I was taking down one of the what are they called? The big ones? No, not loader bot. That's
Dreadbot?
Borderlands. Dreadbot. Yeah.
The spider ant guys.
Yeah, I was taking down a Dreadbot and like I did the Y and B to do a final takedown on it and have a hero come up and help me. And since it was computer AI, it didn't happen because they're actually brain dead. And it was even funnier because it showed me how brain dead they are. Because while I was sitting there waiting for it, Iron Man ran up and his head was literally right in front of the camera, and he just stood there. And then he ran away.
That's another good example.
He ran away.
That like the AI is like sometimes they do it like perfectly. You're like, I want a double takedown, so you sit there and not mash X on a Dreadbot, and you sit there and wait for the AI to do the double takedown with you. And quite a lot of the time they will do it, at least for me. But then there's just these random moments where like literally like all like two or all three of them will be like right there, right next to the Dreadbot, and just completely ignore me. Like I'm not there waiting for them. And I'm like, guys, I want a double takedown, and all of you are literally right next to me, and you're all refusing to do it.
Yeah.
Like, what is your problem?
Yeah. So yeah, just in general, the AI is pretty garbo. It could be heavily improved.
You kind of have to just get lucky when you boot up a mission if they're going to be good or bad.
Yeah, basically.
And even when they're good, it's really just they're good at reviving or good at doing double takedowns. They're not necessarily good in general, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Those are pretty simple commands for AI. go revive this guy. Go do a double takedown with the player.
Yeah, which is even crazier because then they couldn't at least put the simple command of also like, when you're reviving the player, make sure to also defend yourself. Instead, Kamala just runs up to you and then just gets knocked off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've literally had that happen a lot. Where I've had Thor do it more than anyone else, which is funny because then I'm like, Thor, you're retarded.
But, you're literally a god.
Yeah, and he'll run up and try and revive me, and he'll be standing over me, waiting for me to be revived, and then he'll go down right next to me, and I'm like, oh my god, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's like, oof, bruh, what you doing? What's the AI doing, man?
Yeah, I don't know. It's good and bad, kind of like most of the game, basically. The AI.
I'd just say it's. I'd probably say at most average.
Well, but I would say is the AI. I don't think is the worst part of the game.
It's definitely not.
Worse.
It's definitely not. The AI didn't ever be at a point where it was frustrating, except for that Hulk part, and that's mainly because of the balancing issue. Because I didn't play Hulk much, and so he was kind of underleveled and undergeared. So I died a lot, and so Kamala wouldn't revive me a lot, and it was just frustrating.
Right.
But yeah, the AI overall isn't like a big deal because, like you said, it doesn't heavily affect the game, especially when you don't necessarily die a whole lot, so you don't even necessarily need AI help a whole lot.
Yeah, I will say, speaking of like going down and like needing revived a lot, that doesn't happen that often for me, and the reason is because they want this game to be like a grindy Destiny kind of game. Like you want to get super strong and have best, the best loot and best gear in the game.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine. And the loot grind is actually kind of fun, especially if you play it with friends. And that's mainly because the actual gameplay is fun. It's not necessarily because the grind itself is fun. It's just because the game is fun to play.
Yeah.
So that makes the grind like better, like easier to do because you're already having fun playing. And then you just kind of are grinding while you're playing. But I don't see. I've never played unless I actually had a challenge telling me to play on challenge 3 or 4. I've never played on challenge 3 or 4 unless I had an actual like objective thing telling me to.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because the challenge 3 and 4 are supposed to give more consistent like legendaries and stuff. However, once you start to get to like over 100 power level and the max is 150, once you get to like 100 power level, even on challenge 2, which is basically normal difficulty, I don't get downed that often in challenge 2, so I play it primarily in challenge 2. And I got to 100 power level, and then pretty much from there on, even on challenge 2, I was getting mostly always epic or legendary gear. So I think it's more attached to the power level rather than like I feel like if you really want to grind and get to 150 as quick as possible, playing challenge 3 and 4 is the best because you'll get legendaries even at low power levels. But if you want experience that just feels more balanced and more fun because it's not as like retarded and they don't gank you as much, then you would play like normal, which is challenge 2, because then once you do get to that higher power level, like over 100, you actually very consistently get epics and legendaries.
Yeah.
So that I will give them is that I can play on challenge 2 and play solo and everything. Like I don't need a full team of human players, which is kind of what you would need for challenge 4 because it's so hard. And I can, so as a solo player who plays quite a lot solo anyway, I can play on challenge 2 and actually still get those legendary drops. I just have to like get to a higher power level before I start getting them.
Yeah.
So I will give them that. I think that that's cool. That once you get to a certain power level, you just get legendary drops more.
Yeah, that's a good idea actually.
Rather than like forcing you to play on a higher difficulty just for them.
Yeah, it kind of feels like they're like it kind of feels like you're progressing, like you actually
right
have progression.
But and this is one of my other points that makes me think I don't know why you would really want to grind harder on like challenge 3 or 4 to get like low level gear that are legendaries. It will bump your power level up much quicker. However, it's a lot more bullshit the higher the challenge level because the devs were kind of lazy in my opinion because instead of making the game itself balanced and harder, they just made it more unbalanced the harder the challenge level.
Oh yeah, that's why I said
you are like a complete underdog and the fucking enemies will just gank up on you with attacks that are literally unblockable and undodgeable basically.
Yeah.
To the point where you'll get punched and stunned and then stagger over this way and get punched and stunned by another guy, and then you'll be just getting stunned and punched repeatedly until you're dead, and you literally could do nothing about it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's complete bullshit, so I'm like, I'm good. I'm going to play on Challenge 2.
Yeah.
Where it actually feels like a balanced experience.
Yeah, and that happens just in general, but like it happens obviously more often in the higher challenge levels, but that is a general problem, is that every now and then you'll just die by complete bullshit even in like challenge 2. Like you'll get hit by something off screen that you didn't get warned about.
Because it's just not very often in challenge 2 just because it's more balanced.
Yeah.
But challenge 3 and 4, I think that that's dumb that they literally just went, let's just make the whole experience unbalanced, and that's what makes the game harder. That's what makes it challenge 4 is the fact that you're now an underdog. Like you're basically playing
you're not even a superhero now.
Yeah,
it's basically like a civilian ran into the AIM office and said, I'm gonna fuck shit up.
The guys you're fighting are the superheroes in challenge 4.
Yeah, and you're a civilian.
No, yeah, you're the civilian. Yeah, you're just trying to defend yourself against the supervillain.
Yeah,
against the superhero that's gone rogue.
Yeah,
basically. So that's one thing I will say about the game. I hate the challenge 3 and 4. I think they're pointless, and I think that they're dumb.
Yeah, 100% agree.
If you just want to play the game, like just play it, and you don't care about the RPG elements, you could easily play the story and whatever else you want to play in the game on challenge 1. I think that that's the best experience if like all you want to do is experience the story and you don't care about RPGs or anything.
Yeah.
If you want to play the game on a balanced experience and like actually play with the RPG stuff, like play around with it and still experience the story in a balanced manner, or just play the game in a balanced manner in general, then challenge 2.
Yeah, challenge 2 is the way to go.
I don't honestly recommend anyone to play on challenge 3 or 4.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I haven't even played it and they sound like a nightmare because I already know how annoying it can be to get stun locked by enemies.
Yeah, but luckily the game only has objectives that they'll give you occasionally to do like a war zone on challenge 3, which isn't quite as bad as challenge 4, so it's at least doable. it's still like very frustrating, but it's doable.
Mm.
So luckily they don't have objectives that they give you where they're like, yes, play on challenge 4, the impossible one.
Yeah. Play on the hardest, most difficult, most bullshit, most unfair difficulty to complete this objective. Oof. That would have been a big oof if they actually did that.
Yeah,
But
pretty much.
thankfully they didn't. But yeah, I had a thought, like, while you were talking about that.
I had a tot.
I had a tot.
I had a thought.
I had a tot. That sounds like baby or child is trying to like say they had a thought. I had a tot. I had
Daddy, I had a tot last night.
Daddy, I had a
You
tot.
had a thought? What?
You cannot think in this household.
No, thought. The dad thinks that the kid said thought instead of tot.
No.
And he goes, "You had a thought in your room? What?
What? You are underage!"
So yeah,
I like the other version. I like the other version where the dad's like, "You cannot think in the household. This is the household where you cannot think."
This is the no thinking zone.
Yeah, you only do. And what you do is what you're told.
Sounds pretty epic.
Yeah, I think so too. What I was saying is that I had a thought like while you were talking, but I couldn't necessarily think about what exactly it was. It was something about the stun locks and the bullshit.
Mm. The fact that it's bullshit, that's what you're thinking.
Yeah, probably. Oof. I don't know. Let me see. Let me see if maybe it's in my notes on the combat.
And in the meantime, I will entertain the viewers by saying I am playing a raid right now. You guys like that?
Oh, you're actually playing a raid right now?
Yeah, I'm doing a villain sector.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember what it was. Basically, just my thought was it's complete BS because you'll either die from something off screen, because that's happened to me before. I get shot by an enemy off screen and there's no warning. And it's funny because they have warnings, but like it seems like half the time that's also a glitchy thing because I'll just not even get warned and just get hit and die. But also, obviously, the whole thing with enemies stun locking you into death. And oh yeah, I remember.
It's just a poor excuse for a worse, a harder difficulty.
Yeah, and yeah, but I mean, just in general, that's a problem because, like I said, in Challenge 2, that happens sometimes. Not near as much. It happened only a couple times, but it's still like even a couple times is still really bad because then that's obviously a problem.
Right.
But I remember the thought I had, which is that I was like, that doesn't. It makes even less sense though because it's not also like it doesn't change. Like the stun lock isn't different for each hero. Like Hulk gets stun locked just as bad as any other character, and whereas you would think that Hulk is a lot harder to stun.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make. I will say, this is what's kind of weird, and what is one of my biggest problems is that it's the Avengers. You are playing as the Avengers, super powered human beings, right?
Yeah.
These people are supposed to be super powerful, and I understand the whole aim is supposed to be like able to go toe to toe against the Avengers. That part does make sense. What doesn't really make sense is that the gameplay is so good that when it's going well, you actually do feel like the person you're playing. And you're like, wow, I feel like an Avenger. But then when it goes bad and you get punched by a guy, you stagger, you get punched by another guy and you stagger and you can't do anything about it, and then you go down in like 2 seconds because like 5 guys hit you over and over.
Yeah.
Then you're like, okay, so Iron Man just took 5 punches and did nothing about it. Like or Hulk took 5 punches and did nothing about it.
Oh yeah,
and you're like, that doesn't make sense. As an Avenger, why would someone like any of the Avengers at all, any of them, get punched, and then literally stagger so hard directly into another person, get punched, and then stagger again into another person. It's like this
it's
is
like
not...
they're throwing you around in a circle, and like they
Yeah,
grab
and
you,
like,
punch you,
wow,
and throw you to the next enemy, and then you stumble over to them.
I can't wait to see the MCU Avengers 5 when fucking Black Widow and the other Avengers just get punched 5 times and they're out.
Yeah, and it's not even a villain. It's straight up just
guy.
like it's
just
not even villain.
guys.
Just guards, just simple plain civilians, just punching the shit out of the heroes and winning.
Basically.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing I was gonna say about the stun lock too, is that it's also like way too long. Like it feels like you're stunned for like a fucking century when you get stunned as well.
Yeah.
Like I think it's like probably 2 or 3 seconds long. That's way too long.
Especially when you have a whole group of guys hitting you.
Yeah, like one attack.
Literally the Incredible Hulk, and he's staggered
by
like a tiny little human that threw like a really light punch at him, and he's like, "Oh god!" Like and that really hurt him, and you're like, "What?"
And that's the other thing I was gonna say.
The man who literally can take a tank missile directly to the chest and it doesn't hurt him at all gets punched by a human and he staggers.
Yeah, it makes sense, man.
Makes complete sense.
That was the other thing I was gonna say, is that not only does it not make sense that Hulk staggers as easily, but he also staggers just as much, like for 2 or 3 seconds.
Yeah, than like everyone else.
Yeah, whereas like you would think that at least maybe they would have him stagger as much, but his stagger would be way shorter. Like he would stagger for like half a second. Right. And then he'd be like, "I'm back to good, boys."
I'm back to good.
Yeah. But nah, he gets stunned just as easily as fucking Iron Man or Captain America, which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, pretty much. I personally don't get it. That's one of the worst parts of the game for me.
Yeah.
Other than like glitchiness.
Yeah, basically.
One thing I will say is, as a live service type games are like almost always dead on arrival, and then they basically like the company is even like, well, it's dead, move on. One thing that I will give Crystal Dynamics is that they are actually trying to like push out updates and try and fix things.
Yeah, I mean some of them do. Destiny was a good example of, at least they stuck with the game.
That's what I'm saying, is that like at least they stuck with Destiny, and at least these guys are sticking with Avengers. They're not just like, oh well, let's cut our losses.
Yeah. I almost wonder if that's maybe just because they're like, it's the Avengers, guys, it'll make a fuck ton of money.
I mean, probably, but probably already made a fuck ton of money.
Oh, I'm sure they have. And it's crying shame. Like, because, it's a crying shame because this game is trashy.
Yeah, as I always say, it's my favorite dumpster fire.
Yeah, that's basically Rob's new like catchphrase for this game.
Because there's like so much I actually like about it, and I can actually see like potential in the game, like through updates. Like I could see potential, like it going forward and becoming like something that's really cool. But as of now, it's not really like really cool. As of now, it's kind of, I'll say it's fun, but that's kind of it. It's not like it's not like spectacular. It's not like the next like huge thing that's happened for gaming. It's pretty much just fun. It's not like it's a dumpster fire fun mess.
Yeah, it's not better than Spider-Man PS4, which is like really crazy, because you're like which is crazy because you would think that the Avengers game would be better than the Spider-Man game because it has all the heroes, but nah. Not here.
The only thing you can give Avengers over Spider-Man PS4 is that they did do gameplay for each one of the Avengers pretty damn good. Like anytime you switch a character, the game feels kind of more fresh in a way, because you're like, I feel like I'm playing a whole new person because they play completely different.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can give them over Spider-Man PS4 is in Spider-Man PS4, you play one guy. But the difference is that one guy is a lot more refined than the like 6 guys in this.
Yeah, basically. Which is funny because,
however, like, the 6 guys in this are all fun. They like individually, they are all fun to play.
Yeah, and they're pretty refined too. Like that's what I was gonna say. Is that it's kind of funny that like
they have great skill
I've
trees.
heard, yeah, and I've heard a lot of like at least quite a lot of reviewers like saying that they think that the game is too basic with its combat and it's just like a XY button masher. And
I don't agree with that.
I don't either. And like you literally can just look up Marvel's Avengers Captain America combos or Thor combos or whatever. And I think there's a guy called GBG. I don't remember the name specifically. He's seems like a pretty cool guy. So shouts out to him.
Shouts out.
Shout outs to him, whatever. But yeah, he seems like a cool guy, and he makes videos about like he's made a video on I think every hero now, where he does where he shows off combos that he's learned, and it's not just like the basic combos of just holding X and holding X and then holding X. It's like
he's really exploring the game.
Yeah, like he would be like, hold X, then I throw the hammer, then I punch him a bit, then I headbutt him, then I grab my hammer back and hit him around a bit.
Yeah, literally, even the creators were, before it came out, was being like, guys, this is not like your average, like, oh, just X, Y, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's not like a generic beat 'em up. Like, there's actual interesting things you can do in the combat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's something that I would like to give to them. See, that's the thing. I like to give credit where credit's due with this game, even though I think it's a terrible game overall, or at least a very bad one.
I was gonna say I don't know. I see potential. I wouldn't call it terrible overall. I would call it terrible as of now.
I'd say very bad.
Through updates,
overall.
It could become pretty good.
Yeah, and see, but that's the thing. That's for a side tangent real quick. That's kind of the main problem though with live service games.
I mean,
I want a live service game. I want a live service game that releases complete and then they add on to the complete package.
They never do, though. They never do. There's not a single one in history that will ever. I doubt it.
Well, I'd say the closest they've probably gotten is Destiny. Like, and even then, even then, it didn't fully feel like a full game. Like, I actually, somewhat recently, like I think only a year ago, played Destiny 2 because it was free for PS Plus, and I was like, hey, I kind of enjoyed
you
1.
Fucking leech.
Yeah, basically. Nah, I wasn't gonna buy it. I wasn't that enthused about Destiny. I just enjoyed the gameplay of 1, so I was like,
just because you're not a fan.
I kind of like the gameplay of 1. I'm sure I'll at least enjoy the gameplay of 2, and I did. It was fun. It was a fun time. I had fun. That's the cool thing about Destiny. I'll give it that. I had fun. Yeah. It didn't particularly leave a good impact on me, rather than just it was fun.
That's kind of how I feel about Avengers, though. It's like, it's not leaving like this amazing impact on me, and in fact, quite a lot of it's annoying. But at the same time, I have fun playing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I actually sometimes when I'm not playing it, I'll actually be like, I kind of want to boot it up and like fly around as Iron Man and like shoot guys with my lasers, just because like that's fun to do. Like that's the thing. The game is fun. It's just a complete mess.
Yeah, which is, I think that's the reason why I don't personally feel like I feel myself coming back to it and feeling like I want to go fly around as Thor and pin people to the wall with his hammer.
Because it's fun.
Because it is fun, but I feel like I don't want to do that, at least as of right now, because the game is not only broken,
You're
but
like, all right,
unfinished.
Devs, I'll give you somewhat of a chance. If you patch it, I'll come back. If you don't, well, I'm done playing forever.
I mean,
You're like,
yeah.
You're the Will Smith in the Discord chat that says, I mean.
Yeah. I can't even think of that made me think of the one meme with Will Smith when he was like in the YouTube Rewind, but I can't think of what he said. Ah, that's hot. That's what he says.
Ah, that's hot.
I'm like, that's hot. That's what he says.
That's hot. That's what he says. That's
hot. It's that's hot.
Got him.
But I don't know. It's like even ignoring the bugs and glitches, I think this game is unfinished, which is also part of the reason why it makes me feel like I don't want to come back
literally,
to it.
The fucking, I swear it's unfinished. Like, there were stuff that was meant to be in it at release, and it's not.
Oh, I'm sure there was.
I swear. I mean, literally, iconic missions, some of them flat out just end, and you're like, I swear there was more to that than we got.
Yeah, even story content, you can kind of like think that you can kind of theorize that, and probably you're right that they cut out quite a bit of the story content too because they rushed it out. Like the whole we talked about earlier, like off podcast, like a couple days ago, that we were like, it's so stupid how they introduced Thor because he doesn't have anything going on.
Oh,
he just appears
he
out of fucking
have like a
nowhere.
reassemble mission like everyone else does.
Yeah. And that's the thing. What he's wearing when he does show up makes me think there was something there that they weren't able to do because it was rushed out. Because like, he's wearing a shirt with a name tag on it, and that makes me think. Yeah, and that makes me think like maybe he was like at a AA meeting, because we know from the Marvel movies, at least in the MCU, he becomes a drunk because he loses everything.
Yeah, he becomes like fat, depressed, drunk Thor.
Yeah.
So like, that would actually he went make sense in that direction, but then he actually went to a group and started getting help.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm like, so that would have been so interesting. There. Yeah.
Either that, or like we could have like, I don't know. I keep on going back to they could have fucking had Asgard in this game. They could have had Asgard in this game, and it would have been so cool.
Yeah. And I brought up to you
one thing where I'm like, bro, that could have been the best mission in the game, an Asgard mission.
Yeah, and I brought up to you that one thing about how I was like, you know what? When you compare this game to every other live service game out there, every single one of them, in my opinion, has something better than this. Like the setting.
Anthem.
Yes, even Anthem. I personally think that the setting in Anthem, I haven't played Anthem, by the way, but this is something that I don't need to play to know, which is that the setting is actually gorgeous and like beautiful and lush, and like the landscape and shit.
Yeah. I know where you're going with this.
I've never had a moment in Avengers where I'm like, wow, this is so beautiful. Oh my god.
Oh my god, my eyes.
Oh, my eyeballs.
Do my eyes just see me? It's just beautiful.
And when Anthem does something better than you, that's a yikes.
Bruh.
But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's just in general, it has. I think most live service games have something better than it. Destiny, it has actual unique bosses for the final raids that you actually gear up and grind for.
The saving grace for this game is literally
Avengers doesn't.
Its gameplay, pretty much.
That is the only thing.
Really fun. That's the only thing that's like that makes it worthwhile, in my opinion.
100% agree with you. That is literally like what my review was all about, which is that the combat is the only saving grace about this whole game.
And then we could go on to story if you're ready.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of... Oh, yeah. Before we go on to story, I just wanted to go a little more on my tangent of live service games having better stuff. I was going to just make one more other example, which is that I think I didn't fully No, I think I did whatever, I'm just going to say it again. Destiny, I think you heard me, but I don't know. Destiny has like actually unique bosses at the end, like that you actually, it makes the grind worth it because you're actually experiencing new locations and enemies and well, maybe not enemies, but bosses. Whereas Avengers, like even the highest level, highest gear rating raid still at the end would have like Abomination, which you already fought in the story.
Yeah.
So it's a yikes.
I mean,
especially since something like Destiny also has way more variety with its bosses, because there is only 6 bosses in Avengers, and 3 of them are actual Marvel villains.
I was gonna say there's not really 6. Okay, this is where I another thing I don't like. There's 6 bosses in the game. They literally had their development team go through the work of creating 6 bosses where only half of them are unique like iconic Marvel villains.
Yeah.
Only 3 of them out of the 6.
Yep, and I'd argue only 2 of them have actually interesting and unique movesets and fights.
Yeah, but then what's
which is
even
MODOK
worse,
and Taskmaster.
I don't understand, to be honest, that thought process, because it goes from they have a development team create 6 bosses, 3 of which what were they? Oh yeah, it was 3 robots essentially.
Yeah, it was
Essentially,
a
because
mech.
Monica is really just a robot as well.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is that they're literally just 3 robots
Which
because you
again,
don't
who
even
cares
fight.
about Monica? Who cares about her getting an exosuit? No one.
Yeah.
I don't even count that as a spoiler. That's because it's so dumb.
Yeah, literally no one
one's
cares.
Gonna
No one cares
care.
about you,
Everyone
Monica.
will hear
Go
the spoiler.
die, Monica.
Oh, Monica gets in an exosuit that you've already fought like many of them because they're an actual enemy type in the game, and hers is white and blue, which makes her slightly different. Wow, that's epic. I don't think anyone's gonna be like, "Whoa, that's epic, dude. Why did you spoil that for me?"
Monica, no one cares. Go and throw yourself in front of a Thomas the Tank Engine, please.
Oh, whoa. See, Monica's a villain I don't think most Marvel fans will care about in a Marvel game, for one.
Yeah.
For 2, no one's going to care even more when they don't even do something interesting with her boss fight. They're just like, fight an enemy you've already fought many times, but now has a bigger health bar. And fights kind of different. Wow, spooky.
Yes. Oh god, I can't wait to grind my character to level 50 and gear rating 150 so that I can fight Abomination again, but harder. Yes.
At the end of an Elite Hive.
Yes.
Which are also missions
God,
I've
my
done
favorite.
20 times over already, but made into floors.
Yes. Dude, I'm so excited.
Yeah, so bosses, they have an exosuit, which is literally a recycled enemy type. So it's I don't even know how you could even call it a boss at that point. It's just a recycled enemy type that has a stronger health bar with some new moves.
Yeah.
That's like not even a boss. It's more like a mini boss.
Yeah.
So and then there's 2 giant robots, which only the ant robot thing do I actually like, which is like the warbot or whatever. And then the warship is not cool.
Is actual
I really
garbage.
don't like it. It's an actual garbage boss fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the other 3, and by the way, the other 3 are the iconic Marvel villains, which is MODOK, Abomination, and Taskmaster. And I mean, they're fun. They're all right. MODOK is pretty fun, but this is where it gets even more disappointing. Is that the warship that is like the worst fucking boss they've ever made in the game? Yeah, that gets to have its own villain sector, but MODOK doesn't.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Iconic villain, psh, get out of here. Let's have a robot up in this
Move
bitch.
out of here. We want the robot, the flying robot that's a ship.
What? Iconic Marvel villain? Bitch, I want to fight a robot.
It's even worse because they introduced the warship in the story by literally like calling an it. Like they're not just saying it's a ship. It's almost like they're alluding to it being something cool.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, it's just a ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like, it's outside. It's stopping us from.
Leave.
We can't leave. No. God, I'm so
like,
scared of the
this
warship.
Thing sounds so scary, and then it's a ship, and you're like, you're scared of a fucking ship?
Yeah, yeah. They're like, guys, oh god, I'm so scared of that warship.
Warship. I don't know, dude. Huge disappointment.
Very, yeah. And while you were talking, I literally just thought of this because of our Spider-Man PS4 comparison earlier. Spider-Man has more bosses in his own game than Avengers. What?
Yeah, and he's one superhero. This one
Yeah,
has 6 superheroes.
yeah, and it's like, excuse me, what? What is going on here?
Live service.
Oh, I know.
That's what's going on.
Rushing it out, and being lazy. Oh yeah, and having the excuse that, oh guys, no, we're live service.
No,
We have a
it'll be
roadmap.
good
We're gonna add
later.
more
It
stuff.
will be good later.
Oh, you don't like it? That's okay. It'll be good. It'll be good. It'll be good later. Just buy our game and don't worry about it. We'll in 2 years you'll actually be able to play the full game.
The full game, the way it was supposed to release. Nah, probably not even then.
Yeah, probably not.
So
I mean, there'll probably still be problems like the fact that I feel like they're probably never going to do what I said, which is that they should have unique bosses for the multiplayer so it actually makes the grind and playing with your friends worth it, because then you can all experience something new together. Instead of just, now also multiplayer, because now you can play superhero with friend, even though it's stuff you already done, but boringer because there's no story attached. Well, yeah, because then there's not even a story to be attached to, so now it's just, I mean, I guess you could also say it's more fun because you're playing with friends, but still. You get my point.
I mean, the one thing I will say is that they'll be updating it. Like, I think they said they plan to do it like monthly, with like new characters, which adds new story. And the story in the game was not, it's not bad, but it's also not like amazing either. So, I mean, if you're like a huge Marvel fan and you're like, I really want to experience the story really bad, the one thing I can say is that you can at least look forward to more story. Like, you'll have an excuse to get back in the game like almost monthly to experience like another story. Whether it's good or bad, that's kind of, we don't know, because we don't have any of those, post-launch story updates out yet, so we don't know if they're good either.
Yeah.
They could be shit too. I mean, the story in the game isn't really shit. It seems like there was more to it that got cut.
I think it's aggressively average. And I think that the best way to sum it up for me,
the story is probably AIM, MODOK, and Kamala.
I would definitely agree with Kamala. I think Kamala is the best part overall. I think MODOK is better than the Avengers, which is crazy because you're like, so the Avengers are in the game, but they're not even as good as the other two characters.
The Avengers kind of do take like a backseat in the story.
Yeah, and it's like, boy, you named your game after them, and yet they're in the back chilling.
Which I don't completely hate. I kind of like that Kamala, because she hasn't had like her MCU outing or anything, so this is kind of her chance to have a spotlight in something.
Yeah.
So I kind of don't hate that the Avengers sort of took a backseat and Kamala was kind of like the spotlight.
Yeah.
Especially because that was like the best part of the story was her.
Yeah.
So,
but that almost makes me just be like, I wish we just got a solo Kamala Khan game. I'm sure that would have been probably actually a lot better than the Avengers game.
Whoa, bro.
Because it wouldn't have all the dumb live serviceable crap, and it probably wouldn't be buggy and glitchy and shit. And it'd probably, I'm imagining it'd probably be a lot closer to something like Spider-Man PS4 if they did something like a standalone Kamala Khan game. So that's why I'm like, I feel like it'd probably be better. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'd fuck it up as bad as Avengers, but in which case it'd be worse because then it wouldn't have the Avengers, but still. It's like, either way, Avengers overall is just aggressively average, and I think the story is aggressively average. And the main problem I think I have with the story is that, like, conceptually, I like just about every idea in the story conceptually. But the execution, I think, is where it falls apart.
Right.
I actually love the idea of A-Day. I actually think it's a fantastic idea. Because it's kind of like Civil War, where it's like a whole event where, like, the heroes fucked up and they kind of fall from grace. But I think it's even better than Civil War, at least the concept, because A-Day, it's literally a day they put together to celebrate themselves. So people died because of their egos, basically. So it actually kind of is the Avengers' fault in this one.
Yeah, I mean, they literally even kind of explained that it's also sort of Iron Man's ego specifically.
Yeah.
Because that arc reactor thing that was on the Shield helicarrier that they were doing A-Day on, he literally put it on there because he wanted to show it off.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it was some sort of like prized possession.
Yeah, exactly.
So he kind of indirectly put everyone in danger by just having an ego and being like, "Wow, look at this cool crystal."
Yeah. But the reason I say the execution is where it falls apart, because like everything afterwards is just, in my opinion, it's not a good follow-up. Like how, speaking of Iron Man, there's no real tension between any of the Avengers and Iron Man, because he was the one that put the arc reactor there, like, to show off to everyone. So he indirectly caused all of this. And he doesn't get any backlash for it. In fact, by the end of the game, it kind of feels like the game's going, actually, it's MODOK's fault because blah. So, we're trying to figure out a way to basically excuse the Avengers and make it out like the Avengers can do no harm. In my opinion, I felt like they just, like, completely took all the blame off of the Avengers. Or at least they tried to, but I didn't, I personally didn't feel like it actually took the blame off, because
Yeah,
I
I
was
will
like,
say there
no,
was
the blame
also
is still
some
there.
part. There was this one part in the story too when Hulk and Iron Man started fighting, like Bruce Banner and Tony started arguing, and they were arguing in front of Kamala, and then he even mentioned the Inhumans as like a disease.
Yeah.
Bruce did, and then I was like, I felt it because you could see on Kamala's face that hurt her.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be the fallout of the Avengers plus Kamala will also fall out.
Yeah.
Because now Bruce has literally called her, like, the people that are like her, a disease.
Yeah.
And then that
Yeah.
doesn't even happen. It's like that, like, literally, like, 2 minutes later, they say sorry, Tony and Bruce, they say sorry to each other, but no one even apologizes to Kamala. And then it's like, I literally
Yeah.
was like, wait, so you basically called her a disease and then didn't apologize, and now she's okay? She actually, even her as a character kind of acts like it didn't even happen.
Yeah, which is even worse because she's literally the one that did the speech for them to come back. And yet they don't say sorry to her. And she was the one that did
Yeah.
put in the effort to actually get them to stop. It's almost like she's like, do I get a sorry too? And then they go, no, you're not an Avenger, idiot.
You're not an Avenger. Oh, speaking of that, you think there would be a scene at the end of the story, right, where they knight Kamala as like an Avenger?
Mm-hmm.
You'd think that would happen, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
But guess what? You know that reigning supreme mission that you get that's an objective? Like after the story is over? Which basically has you do a bunch of bullshit like multiplayer missions, and you have to go through all these hives. It's pretty much just grind the game until we tell you to stop.
Yeah.
Well, it took me literally like 10 hours to complete the story. It took me about 50 to 60 hours to complete the Reigning Supreme objective. And guess what your reward is for completing the Reigning Supreme? Which is basically, by the way, in order to complete that, you have to complete every objective in the game. It's basically 100%ing.
Oh, God.
Guess what the objective, guess what your reward is.
My brain hurts just by thinking about 100%ing it.
Yeah, I did it. And guess what my reward was?
What?
A cinematic where all the Avengers walk into a room and then they tell Kamala she's an Avenger. And I'm like, why was this not in the story?
And then the writers should have put at the end, and then everyone clapped.
I mean, that's basically what it was. It was basically you 100% it, and everyone clapped.
Yeah.
And I was like, that wasn't a good reward for 100%ing it. Let alone, it was also something that should have been like one of the final cinematics in the actual story.
Yeah.
Like they should have made Kamala an Avenger in one of the final cinematics in the actual story. Not as like a 100% completion bonus. Now Kamala's an Avenger.
Yeah. It's like
now that you, the player, have completed the game 100%, we will now knight Kamala as an Avenger.
Imagine if at the end of the game, like when you're going to face MODOK fucking kills Kamala. So she never gets knighted as a true Avenger.
Yeah, you know what's even
got him.
You know what's even weirder is that literally, okay, so post-game story is literally Monica. You know how she was forced to get that injection? Like, honestly, you could put spoilers in the thing for the story, but honestly, I don't think, in my opinion, if you're here wondering about the game, I feel like it's better you know about the spoilers just so you know what to expect on whether or not you're going to enjoy the story or not.
You know to expect trash.
I mean, some people I heard have enjoyed it, but
no,
not
I know.
a whole lot.
Yeah.
A whole lot of people think that it's okay. Like, it's not a terrible story, but it's also not great.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how I feel. It's not terrible, but it's not great.
And that's what I'm saying.
Average.
That's what I'm saying. It's like aggressively average, which sometimes can actually be even worse than something being bad. Because then if something's bad, you can at least point at it and laugh. If something is aggressively average, you just kind of sit there and go, please end it. I want to be done.
So basically, the post-game storyline, which is following all of the, you have to do all the iconic missions. You have to like 100% the game.
Yeah.
And doing that, you get a little bit cinematics, like here and there, a couple that are kind of like post-game story.
Yeah.
And post-game story is that now that Monica is like duplicated herself, she is now making duplicates of Abomination and Taskmaster, and that's their excuse on why you fight them over and over when you do villain sectors. Is because you're actually, apparently, you are actually killing them. So every time you kill...
The Avengers kill now.
Every time you do a villain sector, you're killing Taskmaster and killing Abomination in the storyline. And then when you do another villain sector, it's now one of the duplicates of them that you're going to kill again. So you're basically killing them over and over and over, and it's just like a bunch of them. Rather than it just being a game that's, you know, an RPG. So I don't know why they can't just be like, this is an RPG game. Like, of course you're going to fight these guys over and over.
Yeah, it's like they have to have a fucking excuse.
Like a story reason that's actually a pretty bad story reason.
And that's what I'm saying. It's also like if they were
telling me the MCU is duplicating, or not the MCU, the Marvel gaming universe is like duplicating the Avengers villains.
Yeah.
Which means when we get updates, if we get like cool villains like Ultron or whoever, that means when we do their villain sectors, they're just going to be duplicates as well. The AIM has created.
Which really, if you think about it, just totally fucks the entirety of the story. Because then you're like, wouldn't they just like grab someone like fucking Thanos and multiply him by 50,000? And then they're just like, you have nothing against 50,000 Thanoses.
Yeah, or like fucking Kang the Conqueror, or like...
Yeah, or like, literally... any Marvel villain that's super powerful as fuck, like Galactus as well.
Yeah, or Galactus. Imagine AIM having control over like like hundreds of Galactuses.
Oh my god.
I'm like, why have you guys chosen to duplicate Taskmaster of all people?
Yeah, Taskmaster
he's like
fucking
the least of the
Abomination.
Cringe. Abomination is better because he's like more on the stronger side, but
yeah,
because he's like
still
Hulk
like
strength,
why?
so at least it kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
but Taskmaster doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
it's like your scientific efforts into duping him.
Yeah, you're like, yes.
He has photographic.
We only want to
memory.
duplicate.
Holy crap! 50 of him is definitely gonna take down.
Oh my god! Holy crap, guys! He has something that a very rare amount of humans have, guys. We should duplicate him.
Yeah,
instead of the ones that have literal superpowers, bro.
I don't know, dude. I thought it was lame. So the post game, AIM is duplicating the Avengers villains, which I don't think is the worst excuse on why they keep coming back, but I'm also like, why couldn't you have just been like, it's an RPG, so of course you fight them over and over? Like, why did you have to give it a story reason?
Yeah, it is the worst excuse.
But
because the excuse could have just been, it's an RPG, get the fuck over it if you want it to be story.
But on top of this, I'm like, if you're gonna go this route, why don't we have a villain sector for MODOK? Because they would have probably duped him too.
Yeah, he was literally the biggest threat in the story, and yet apparently they decided to dupe the other two that aren't as strong.
Bro, he almost took the entire Avengers down at the end of the story, and they've decided to only dupe Abomination and Taskmaster.
Yeah.
The guys who actually failed at taking down the Avengers.
Not only failed, but literally MODOK almost kills Abomination himself.
Yeah, I know. And Monica's the new leader of AIM, and she was there to witness when he picked up Abomination. And I'm like, God. So you choose to dupe the guy that was obviously weaker.
Yeah.
All right, makes sense.
Yeah, logical. And see, that's what I'm saying is that like,
funny is like, did MODOK die because he kind of fell out of the head of the robot he was in and then just kind of fell in the water? And I was like,
I like to imagine he died.
Someone save him.
Yeah, I like to imagine he died by drowning.
I was just kind of like, that was weird because he just kind of falls in the water and then no one talks about him for the rest of the story, and I'm like, okay, he drowned.
That boy dead. I think this man experienced the big death.
Plus, what's even weirder is that you don't even beat the shit out of Abomination and Taskmaster in the villain sectors the way that Hulk beats the shit out of Abomination in the story, and yet Abomination survived that in the story.
Yeah.
Like when he was saying shut up and he was hitting that giant thing over Abomination, and then he pulled that thing off the ceiling and landed on Abomination.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then he lived through that because then MODOK has the scene where he picks him up.
Yeah.
Unless you're telling me that they were already duping them, and the one that he picked up
that was a clone! That was a clone!
All along. Oh,
that was a clone! Oh my god!
The cloning started much earlier than we thought!
That's why they didn't clone MODOK, except they still didn't think about cloning MODOK afterwards anyway, so it's still
which
retarded.
Doesn't make sense, because Monica was injecting him with things, so she could have sneakily taken his blood.
Yeah, exactly.
So that she could dupe him if he died.
Yeah. But no. Apparently, no.
It doesn't make sense.
He's too powerful, guys. We can't dupe a powerful villain.
Yeah, what?
We want order, not chaos.
Seriously, dude, Monica of all people, is she really going to be like, oh, he's too powerful, we can't dupe him?
She's like, oh god, guys, come on. We want order, not chaos. Oh my god.
Oh god. They're actually the Templars.
Yeah.
We want order, not chaos. We can't create things that are much stronger than us.
Yeah.
Which means we'll always be stagnant. We'll never get stronger, but we'll also never get weaker. See, that's kind of the problem with AIM that I have that makes AIM as, Monica even more specifically, not interesting. It's because I'm like, okay, so she's doing tests on Tarleton that makes him into MODOK, and I'm like, this part's interesting because she's very manipulative. And then MODOK goes off the chains and like gets mad at her and forces her to dupe herself. And then the post story. Oh, apparently they're duping Abomination and Taskmaster. And I'm like, yeah, but Monica is the leader. So
Yeah.
why isn't she duping MODOK? Because if it's a duplicate, I'm sure she could manipulate him, the duplicate, because the duplicate hasn't gone through the same things the real Tarleton did.
Yeah.
So it would be a duplicate of the strong, like, end game version of MODOK that she can still manipulate and do her bidding without it being the real Tarleton, because the real Tarleton would already be done with her shit, while the dupe wouldn't, because the dupe hasn't gone through the same stuff.
Yeah.
So it would make sense if she made a MODOK dupe, but she doesn't. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I want to fight. I honestly want a MODOK fight as a villain sector.
That would, yeah. We already talked about how like before we recorded this podcast a couple days ago.
Yeah, guys,
that
that's
was
the
another
problem.
time when we were talking about it, and we were like, that would have been so cool.
There's six villains, 6 bosses.
Mm-hmm.
Warship, Warbot, and the Warbot's cool. The Warship is the worst fucking thing in the game.
Warship, Warbot, Warmech.
And then the Exosuit Monica boss, which is basically a copy and paste of just a normal exosuit guy with some extra attacks and more health. And then, which are, so the Warbot, honestly, not bad. But I think that the Warbot should have been the only one that wasn't an iconic thing.
Oh, yeah.
It should have been the only one. There should not have been a warship. There should not have been fucking Monica in an exosuit.
Yeah.
Those other 2, warship and the exosuit Monica, they should have been like more iconic villains.
Yeah.
And then Taskmaster and Abomination, and MODOK. And out of those 6, only Warship, Warbot, Abomination, and Taskmaster have villain sectors.
Yeah.
Even Monica in an exosuit doesn't even have a villain sector.
Got him. You're telling me Monica didn't have so much of an ego that she didn't clone herself over and over and over?
And put herself in exosuits to fight the Avengers?
Yeah. I'm like, you're telling me she didn't do that, bruh?
Yeah, again, that also doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
She probably would think her exosuit's so epic that she could kill them herself, so she'd dupe herself and then put herself in an exosuit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna tell you, that shit pretty strong. She killed me a couple times before I actually killed her.
Oh, I beat her on my first try.
Maybe I'm just bad at the game, but it took me like, I think 2 or 3 tries, and then I finally beat her, and I was like,
well, it took me a while, because she did a lot of damage to me, so I pretty much would just dodge an attack and then shoot her far away.
Okay, I see. Yeah, nah, I did not play it safe. That ain't how I roll.
Well, because I was like, this is a dumb boss fight anyway, so I just wanted to get through it.
I know. I'm just saying, but that's just how I played it.
But the point is, only 4 out of the 6 bosses have villain sectors, which villain sectors you can play with your friends and fight these bosses with your friends.
Yeah, and only 2 of them are Marvel villains.
That I think is fun in the game, is fighting these big bosses with friends.
Yeah.
And the Warbot is pretty cool. Abomination and Taskmaster, they're not awful. But the Warship, really? They get a villain sector and MODOK doesn't?
Mm-hmm.
Warship, but not MODOK. Okay.
Bruh. Oh my god, I just thought of a thing. Thoughts on things. No, but yeah, no, I got a little crazy there. I'm about to go crazy, bro.
Alright, go crazy.
Alright. I couldn't tell if you were talking or not because you cut off, so I was like, oh, did it cut off completely or nah?
No, I'm here.
It did not. Alright. Yeah, what I just thought of is I'm like, literally a really fun explanation for why you would be able to fight all these Marvel villains like Ultron, for instance, in a like high level raid without having to fully explain it in a like actual story context. You could just literally be like literally just, instead of calling it like a raid, I guess you could still call it a raid, but it could be under the pretense of it being like an homage to this moment in Marvel Comics history. Like, and it would be like the raid on Ultron's tower or whatever the fuck. And then it could like transport you into the level without it like putting it into the context of the actual story in the game, because it's not actually connected to the story of the game. It's just something fun that celebrates the Marvel villain in this
That
comics.
was going to be another thing I was going to say, is that it would have been a lot easier if they had made villain sectors and they didn't try and be like, but they have to make sense. There has to be continuity.
Yeah.
I'm like, it could still have continuity. You could just have them, like, because clearly the Avengers have already been Avengers for a super long time.
100%, yeah.
And I feel like one of the things that they would worry about is that people who like main Kamala, they'd be playing like a mission that takes place in the past when they fought Ultron.
Yeah.
And Kamala wasn't there, but now somebody's playing Kamala on that mission.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, it's an RPG, so I feel like that shouldn't really be a problem. But
and first and foremost, it's a fucking game. Sometimes you have to sacrifice logic in a game just so that you can have more fun.
I know that firsthand, dude. Kingdom Hearts, the only reason it's fun is because they sacrifice logic to just have fun with the story.
Oh, yeah.
They sacrifice logic literally 100%. Every single, 5 seconds. And you're like, that makes 0 sense, but I love this.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure there's somewhere where you could probably pick apart the gameplay of Kingdom Hearts and be like, the gameplay is blah, and you could probably be like, this character OP, why not he destroy all enemies in cutscene?
Yeah.
But that's because
Riku
they do that for the gameplay, not for the story.
Keyblade master, and yet Sora's somehow stronger than him.
Yeah, exactly. And that, for instance.
This doesn't make any sense, but I love it.
Yeah. But you just roll with it because that's just because that's the main character that you play throughout the game, so you understand why he's like the most powerful feeling. Because they want you to have fun. They don't want you to be like, this is a boring slog because my character is weak and stupid and boring and dumb and fuck this. They go, hey, you know what? We have a fun story, and you know what? We have a fun game because we sacrificed at least a little bit of logic for the gameplay. And that's a good thing because we're a game.
It's kind of dumb because Scandinavia or Novia or whatever is in the game.
Or no, I think it's Sarkovia.
Or yeah, Sarkovia is in the game.
Yeah, we're thinking of a real world place.
Yeah, and I'm like, so Sarkovia is in the game, the birthplace of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and also the birthplace of Ultron.
Yeah.
And yet we don't even have Ultron in the game, which would have been a hell of a lot better than a warship.
Oh yeah.
Can you oh my god, can you imagine that? Because Sarkovia was in the game, is if when the warship was introduced and they're like, there's something in the sky and it won't let us leave, and then fucking Ultron flies down from the sky.
Yeah.
And then Ultron was the boss fight there instead of the fucking ship.
I mean, that would have
made sense. Because then you would have been like, bro, the fucking AIM are literally trying to exterminate superpowers. Of course Ultron is on their side.
Yeah.
He hates the Avengers. He wants to exterminate them.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a fun idea, but like I said, I feel like Ultron probably would make more sense. Like, instead of being in the story, it probably would have made more sense if they wanted him as a boss to be like a multiplayer
I know
boss.
Marvel fans would have been like, bro, Ultron won't let us leave. This is so cool.
Yeah.
Because it would have been a shock. You would have been like, okay, I thought it was just Taskmaster, Abomination, and MODOK, but now we have Ultron flying out of the sky. It would be actually cool. And I know fans would like that, but even if they didn't do that and they still had Warship in the game, which was a huge mistake. Warship should have been aborted, but
Warship.
Yeah.
That's all you can really say about it. Warship.
Warship. It should have been aborted. Yep. And for like multiplayer villain sectors, Dude, it would be so easy. I don't think it would even take that much time because the villain sectors as of now are kind of short. You go through this like really short narrow path and there's like one single extra to the right. You get that extra and then you get in an elevator after you fight a little group of enemies next to the elevator. You go to the second place. Then there's probably like I think there's an extra to the left and the right and then there's a boss dead straight ahead. So they're pretty damn short. They could have done this layout with a brand new level in Sarkovia, except the difference is instead of a warship or a warbot or Abomination or Taskmaster, it's Ultron at the end, and it's in Sarkovia, and it could just be like a homage or like a flashback. There, you know what? There's an actual mission in the game that you can play with friends, and it is even a story mission. I think it's actually the warship mission, which is pretty sad, but
yeah.
But it says the name of the mission, and then it says in parentheses after the name it says flashback. So I'm like, you guys could have done this, but with like storylines that happened before the main story.
Yeah.
Like have an Ultron boss fight that is technically a flashback of when they fought Ultron in the past.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, they're not going to do that. I'm like, and that could have been easy to do. It's not like it would take a fuck ton of work to do that.
Yeah, and I just thought up an easy way that they could have conceptualized. Like, they could have made Kamala at least somewhat make sense being there, which is that they could have literally just explained it away by being like, this is the Avengers telling Kamala how it went down, like, directly. Like, because, you know, in this universe, the most she would know about it is from the comics that they would write about it. So it probably would be cool if she was able to actually hear the story from the Avengers firsthand.
Yeah, especially because they could have the hash, like the in parentheses flashback, and then they could also, when you're in the mission, like when you're doing villain sectors, there's always this dialogue that comes on, which I kind of wish you could mute, because after you've done the same villain sector over and over, you hear the same dialogue over and over.
Yeah.
But the dialogue is usually about like kind of whatever's happening in the villain sector.
Yeah.
Because it's apparently happening in present day, and they're talking about how Monica and AIM and yada 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 go fight the Warbot. But they're talking in present day, like they're on an intercoms talking to one another. That would be cool if the intercom thing is changed for the flashbacks to where it's actually like the Avengers telling the story while you're playing through the mission.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And Kamala is like, she has lines in there too where she goes, "That's so cool," or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be really cool. But nah, that's too creative and not lazy for them. Because it was
with
rushed
that
out
idea,
lazy.
they could be adding villain sectors like left, right, and center and have so many Marvel villains in the game.
Yeah, exactly. And they could all literally just be under the pretense that the Avengers are telling Kamala one of the stories.
Yep.
But no.
This is kind of the biggest thing about this game is that there were lots of things they could have done that they didn't do.
Yeah.
That they also should have done.
Yep.
Just things to improve the overall game.
Yeah.
From beginning to end, from story to gameplay to RPG elements to harder difficulties to bugs and glitches to actual opportunities that they had that were basically set up for them and then they kind of ruined it.
Yeah. I mean, let alone just like setting aside the fact that they didn't really need the excuse anyways, because everyone would have gone with it if they just had a mission where you take down Ultron and there's no explanation as to why.
I mean, dude, you literally fight MODOK at the end of the story, and it's a pretty fun boss fight.
Yeah.
They already have a level right there. They already have a level. They already have a boss fight. The only thing they needed to do was turn that level and boss fight into a playable multiplayer mission. That's it. That's a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
It's something that could have been done easily, and they just decided, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
They're like, I'm too lazy.
That's one of the things that I thought would be fucking fun, is like grinding with friends and stuff on Avengers to get to that max power level so we can take down MODOK, who is like the max villain sector.
Yeah.
But you don't get to do that because pretty much all the villain sectors in the game are almost max level. They're like all like 100 or whatever. Unless you get the daily ones. The daily ones are usually like around 30 or higher.
Yeah.
So they're much easier, but the villain sectors for the iconic Marvel villains, Abomination and Taskmaster, like I think they're called Elite, which are the ones you can do over and over and you don't have to wait daily to play them. Those ones are like 100 power level and up.
Yeah.
And they level with you. So you have to be 100 like entry level to play them. But if you keep getting higher, like you're 125, then it'll be 125.
Yeah.
That's cool and that's fine and everything. But I really think it would have been cool if they were like, bro, there's this MODOK villain sector, but you literally have to be like max power level to beat him.
Yeah.
Because he's the final boss of the story. So of course he would be the final boss of the multiplayer as well.
Yeah, that would have been kind of fun. But nah, we can't have anything fun in this game.
It would have made it grinding...
Okay, I take that back. The combat's fun.
It would have made it fun, even more fun, to grind to max level with friends, though. Because then you're all like, bro, we gonna take down MODOK. We gonna beat his ass, bro.
Yeah. But nah.
The hardest challenge in the game is max level MODOK, bro. We gonna beat his ass.
Yeah. The hardest challenge in the game right now, though, is... I don't even know.
You don't even know?
Because I don't care.
You're like, I didn't even play it long enough to figure out. Fuck.
I don't even... I'm like, bro, I don't even care,
You're
bro.
like, I'm already ready to play fucking Mario 3D All-Stars. I'm already done with this game.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I'm ready to move
Mafia.
on.
I'm ready for Mafia.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm
Mario
ready for that
3D
shit, bro.
All-Stars. And,
I'm ready for Mafia, bro.
Cyberpunk.
I still need to play Paper Mario, Origami King, which I don't even know if I'll review at this point because I waited like way too long. I mean, I might, but still. I need to play that. We need to watch we need to watch One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and then Ratchet.
Yeah, because Ratchet is coming out soon.
Yeah.
I think
which we are excited for. Even though we haven't even seen the original movie.
I think it's coming out in like a week.
Yeah, it comes out pretty soon. Which is also part of the reason.
Did we cover everything though with Avengers? We covered like bugs, glitches, combat being fun, like gameplay being fun, but all of the missed opportunities.
Yeah.
Glitches,
yeah, and I was able
bugs.
to cover.
you could put on screen. Do you have a recording of when we played multiplayer?
Yeah.
So you could put on screen like when we like that elevator thing.
Yeah.
Or like when we were stuck on the shield helicarrier loading screen like forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I even have that one clip where like I thought the game bugged out and like crashed, but then it didn't crash, and that's for some reason, even though that's not even like a hugely funny glitch, in my brain it just connected. I was like, the game is so broken it made me think it crashed and then it didn't. So that's what made me laugh so hard at that part.
It made you laugh like really hard because you're thinking this game is so broke. It made me think that it broke just now, but it's okay.
Yeah.
That's how badly broken the game is.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll be sitting there going, wait a minute. Did it crash? Is it broke?
Yeah.
What's going on? Oh no, it's okay.
Yeah.
It just felt like it was broke. That's kind of Avengers in a nutshell as of now. It's kind of when you're playing it, quite a lot of the time you're kind of like, Okay, did the game just break? Oh,
Oh
no, it's
no,
okay.
it didn't break. Whew,
No, it's
yay.
alright. It's so broke, I thought it broke.
Did it break? Ah, god damn it, it did break this time.
Oh, this time it did break. Damn it.
Son of a bitch. Yeah, this game's just a total absolute mess, and I would not recommend buying this at all. Well, at least not right now. I mean,
I would not
even
recommend buying it
then,
for
honestly.
$60.
Yeah.
If I definitely, it doesn't even matter if you get this game for like $10. I would not recommend at all for anyone to buy credits.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Don't do that.
Like, why
You're
would
buying
you give
credits for
money?
a broken
I
game.
was giving them the benefit of the doubt, and I was like, okay, if they're gonna be doing free updates that are hopefully quality to the game,
Yeah.
then they have to make their money somewhere. So sure, credits are fine. But if the game is released in this state, I'm also kind of like, I'm not super excited for the updates that will add more content, because then
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, I don't even see, like, I see potential, but I also saw potential in the main game, and then the main game was disappointing. So I see potential for the updates, but I also deep down feel like they'll also be disappointing.
Yeah. Especially since you're like, if
They're
this is
starting
how the
off with
release
Kate
of the
Bishop and
full
Hawkeye. They're starting off, dude. They're literally
with two
starting
boring
their up.
characters.
They're starting off their updates
Yeah.
with Kate Bishop
And Hawkeye.
and Hawkeye, but literally starting it off like right off the bat
Yeah.
with Kate Bishop.
Yeah, with Kate Bishop, yeah.
Where I'm like,
Hawkeye's daughter.
and they're literally both. Well, in this scenario, it's more of a sister, but
Well, yeah, but still.
it literally two characters
Ugh.
that within the comics pretty much do the same things. They have bow and arrows, and they're good at bow and arrows. And I'm like,
Yeah.
so you're gonna put two of them in the game? Are they literally gonna be like mimic fighters and basically play the same? It's so when people play the game with friends, if they really want to play that like bow and arrow character, they can choose between basically female and male.
Isn't that literally
version.
what they confirmed though? Didn't they say that they'd be like kind of like echo fighters? Like they would kind of fight the same basically?
I don't even know. They probably
I
will
thought that's what they
traverse
said.
around the world the same, but I'm sitting here like, hopefully they at the very least have different like abilities, different skills, but I don't really see
Yeah.
how. How are you gonna? Because the skill trees are so big for each character. How are they gonna make that times 2 for characters that are gonna be basically the same?
Yeah. Literally
Because then
bow and arrow.
that means they would have to make a skill tree as big as the other characters times 2.
Yeah. For the same character, but also both of them are unique to that character.
Yeah, which I'm like, I don't see them doing. I feel like they're gonna have like the same skills.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, oop, that's just gonna be boring.
And then I'm like, if that's the case, then just release them at the same time in one update. Don't why would you be like, oh, we're gonna have Kate Bishop this month, and next month we'll have Hawkeye?
Yeah.
Because then people will have already played Kate Bishop, and then they're not gonna give a shit about Hawkeye because they're like, he plays exactly the same.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just
It's really
there's some
it's really
things
stupid.
where I'm like, it would make there's some specific things in the gameplay that would make sense, that would translate to other characters if they were added, like how Iron Man, he flies around and he has that lock-on system, and when you press it, if you have like lasers attached, he'll just shoot like a direct laser at his enemy while he's flying past them. And I'm like, so if they added
Yeah.
someone like Vision, he probably would do the same thing. If you're flying past him, you could shoot a laser beam out of his head.
Yeah, some of the
For example,
some of
but
the
those are more passive things. Those are not like direct abilities.
yeah, some of the heroes, yeah, they already right now do have not a lot, but every now and then have things that are somewhat similar in it. But that's just because it makes sense, like how Thor and Iron Man can actually go into flight mode, and how later on you can unlock the ability to shoot a beam from Thor's hammer.
Right.
Using the Odin Force.
See, but that's my point. Is that like if they released Vision, it would make sense if Vision felt a lot like Iron Man when he flies, and then he would have the same like kind of lock-on system and shoot a beam out of his head at his enemies.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But at the same time, he's Vision. So Vision, because he has all sorts of different powers in the comics compared to Iron Man. That's the thing, is that when he's on the ground, though, when he's not in flight mode, he would play very different from Iron Man.
Oh yeah.
I
mean, for starters, he'd only have the laser from his head. He wouldn't have like repulsors and all this other stuff.
Right. And he'd also have the phase ability, which I think could be really fun to use in gameplay, because he can like phase through walls and like phase through enemies. It probably could be used as his block attack, where an enemy could like punch into his body because you press the parry.
Yeah, I was gonna say it could literally be his parry.
That would be really cool, actually.
That would be like really cool to be like, yeah, bitch, what's up? But you would like feel really badass if you just like parry an enemy and like literally they just phase through you.
But I don't see any of that badassery really coming through if I'm playing Kate Bishop or Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Like Black Widow still has like badass to her, and she's kind of in their realm in a way, because she's more like a humanoid and less like powerful.
Yeah.
But she has like actual guns, which is cool. But these people have bow and arrows, which is cool. I think my problem is, if they wanted to start off with a bow and arrow character, they should have done Hawkeye and then just moved on to a completely new person. They shouldn't do literally 2 people with bow and arrows.
Yeah, it's flipping crazy, especially with the whole lineup that they have from the Avengers.
They're going to traverse the same.
Like,
they're probably going to have like either a zip line like Black Widow, or they're going to have like a you shoot an arrow into a tree, and then it's like a zip line arrow thing or something.
Yeah.
They're going to traverse the same. I can already see it. Hawkeye and Kate Bishop, they will traverse the same way through the world.
Oh yeah, so I'm sure they will.
They will feel the same.
Yeah.
When it comes to playing, I kind of feel like they're going to have very similar attacks and abilities as well.
Yeah.
Which is not going to make them very fun or unique.
Yeah. I mean, I'll applaud them if they're actually unique. But at the same time, it's also like, even if they're unique, you're still releasing like very similar characters back to back, whereas people would rather have one, either Kate Bishop or Hawkeye, and then
seriously,
next hero is someone else from the Avengers.
Most people would probably want Hawkeye just because he's a more like prevalent character in the Avengers.
Oh yeah, I mean,
so I think they should have done Hawkeye and then moved on to another Avenger.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't necessarily even familiar with Kate Bishop until they revealed that she was going to be a hero in the game. But I know who Hawkeye was. And I think most people, I think there will be a lot of people that
the only
feel that
thing
way.
I kind of like, literally the only thing I like about adding Kate Bishop and then Hawkeye is that it's like a 2-part storyline. So I'm like, okay, so they're adding both of them as playable heroes because it's a 2-part story. So like part 1, you play as Kate Bishop investigating what Hawkeye's up to, and then part 2, you play Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now that makes it to where the story side of it might at least be fun, even if the characters themselves aren't super fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of a fun idea to have, like, story parts released. Like story like DLC released in parts instead of just like straight up the entirety of it is already available. That kind of makes it a bit more fun. And I feel like it makes it feel a bit more grand scale.
That's the thing. I think they were banking on this being like through being survivable, the game, through basically multiplayer and people playing together. But I feel like this game over time will become something that people play when they have like basically nothing else to do, so they just get on for like shits and giggles. And
right now, people will only get on for shits and giggles.
And what I mean by that is they'll either get on for shits and giggles for like an hour or 2 at a time and then get off for like months, or which I think I might end up being this type. I might end up being the type, which I think most people will be, that will have this game, They'll play through the story and be like, okay, that wasn't terrible. It wasn't like amazing, but it wasn't bad. I at least am interested to see where the story goes. So then when they add updates like Kate Bishop and Hawkeye, which add new story, like post-game story, you'll probably get on like monthly or like every couple of months when there's new story to play. And that's pretty much
just
it.
to check
You'll
out
just
the
get
new
on
content.
and play the new story mode. And then you'll get off again
and
for
then
like
you'll be
months.
like, well, I'm already done.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I feel like the story is extra storylines will probably only be like 4 hours or something, or 6 hours at a time. So Kate Bishop probably like 4 hours, Hawkeye like 4 hours. So I'm like, and they're like 2 months from now, both will be out. So I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 2-parter. If they keep doing 2-parters, people will come back like every 2 months and just play part 1 and 2, and then be done with the game for another 2 months.
Yeah,
and then play the next part 1 and 2 of the next storyline, and then be done for 2 months again.
Yeah. Then again, I also feel like there will probably be those like hardcore Avengers fans that just like obsessively play it.
I have to max out every character, every single one that comes out. Kate Bishop maxed. Hawkeye plays exactly the same, but I'm gonna max him out too.
Yeah.
And I already have all 6 characters maxed out, even though the game's been out for like 4 days.
Yeah.
5 days, I think. Whatever. However long. I bought the deluxe edition, $20.
Yeah.
And I got 72-hour early access, which only
I became a Verizon customer just so I could get the exclusive Verizon skins.
I wanted that skin just for completion bonus. I think it's a terrible skin, but I got it. Yes.
Yes.
I am a true Marvel fan. What do you have to say for yourself? I'd be like, I enjoy the MCU, which is actual quality storytelling.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I can't wait till MODOK is in the MCU, and then it makes this game irrelevant.
Yeah, it makes this game look honestly, like fucking
I feel like
baby.
once Kamala and MODOK come to the MCU, because then there'll be even higher quality storylines in the MCU for Kamala and MODOK.
Yeah.
Then the Avengers game story mode will become irrelevant.
Oh yeah, 100%.
People will be like,
and it's already feeling irrelevant.
Well, yes, but that was the outing of Kamala and MODOK out from the comics into like something else.
Yeah, I know. I
then
get it.
It's not the best version of that. So then the best version is the MCU, and then everyone's like, yeah, forget the game. The MCU counterpart's so good.
Yeah.
I love the Kamala in the MCU and the MODOK in the MCU, but the Kamala and the MODOK in the game were just kind of shit in comparison. I feel like everyone will be thinking that once they come to the MCU.
Yeah. And then there will be one person that says that, and then like 99% of people that watch the Marvel movies and also played this game, like when that finally does happen in the MCU, they'd be like, "What? What are you talking about? What game? What game was that?
There was an Avengers game?
Wait, there was? Oh, I really? I forgot about that.
Didn't it die? Didn't it die or something?
I thought it died a cruel death.
Didn't it die like on arrival? Everyone said it's a buggy mess.
Yeah.
And then no one played it ever again.
Yeah, it's a buggy mess that is just in general average, even
honestly,
without the bugs.
I don't think Avengers is going to survive through their plans, because Crystal Dynamics have already said, we plan to support this game with new content for years to come. And I'm like, you'll be lucky if you survive a year.
Yeah, I agree, honestly.
At this point, I'll be surprised if they are still putting out new characters and new storylines after a year.
Yeah. I mean, the general consensus with most reviewers, at least right now, is that they're like, I'm probably never gonna play this again. I literally didn't care. Like most reviewers are like, I could care less about this game.
100% the game as of now. This is before any extra content.
Yeah.
I have gotten Hulk, who is my main, I've gotten all the characters to level 50 just because there was an exploit I used to get them all to level 50. So I have the level 50 skin of everybody.
Yeah.
Which some are shit and other ones are really good. And then Captain America's, I unlock his at level 50, and then I go to equip it, and then it's relocked. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I fucking imagine if I actually was playing Cap, like maining him or something, like actually
Yeah.
putting a lot of time into getting to level 50 instead of exploiting. And then I
Yeah.
actually got there legit way, and it took so long, and I'm like, can't wait to put on this skin. And then I go and it's locked after I unlocked it.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, that is
You just like fucking punch a hole through your monitor.
there's stuff in the game where I'm like, it's like almost anti-progression. It's weird because they literally are like, because the game itself is not bad in progression, but there are glitches in the game that are like anti-progression. Because you get
yeah.
to level 50 with Cap, like I did, and it'll be like, here's his legendary skin. Wow, it's so cool. Go to the screen in your cosmetic screen and equip it. And you go and it's relocked, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
And it's actually just relocked. Like you cannot fix it until they put out an update to fix it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, there's patterns you can get in the game through playing story or other missions, like in multiplayer. And you can take those to the pattern machine, the decipher machine, and you press on the pattern and it'll give you like a random skin.
Yeah.
For a random character. Completely RNG on whatever you get. And
yeah.
But the problem is I had a bunch of patterns, and I would click on all the patterns, and it would be like, wow, you unlocked this skin for Iron Man, and this for Thor, and this for Cap, and then I would click on like 3 more of them. Absolutely nothing shows up.
And you're like, excuse me?
I used a pattern and I didn't unlock anything. Okay. All right. And then I looked up online, and apparently everybody is having this problem where if they use a certain amount of patterns, the patterns will just start to like refuse to give you skins. So when you use a pattern, you just don't get anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
they're
all
like,
right.
They're like, hey, whoa.
Whoa,
you
that's
can't
too
have
many skins at once.
You can't have too many free things.
And that's the thing, is that I know it's a glitch because they've already said that they're planning on updating it, and whichever skins you were supposed to unlock through the RNG, they can actually find out which one you were supposed to have, and they're going to give it back to you through an update. And they're also going to re-unlock the ones that you've unlocked, and then they relocked, like the Captain America level 50 skin. So it's like, it's definitely not their fault. Like, it's not like they didn't program the game that way. It's literally a glitch.
It is their fault because they didn't find the glitch.
Well, yes, it's their fault for not testing it and shit, and like fixing it.
Oh, it's obvious. They most likely either didn't test it or they had very minimal testing. Because of like how bad it is.
But that's my entire point, is that that's even worse.
Yeah.
In a way. It's better and worse in a way, because it's better that they didn't program it that way, but it's worse that they weren't testing their game enough to realize that was a problem in the game.
Yeah, so both at the end of the day, both of them fall on their shoulders. It's just which one do you like more, greediness or laziness?
I mean, to be honest, I prefer laziness, but even then, I'm like, I would have preferred if it was just quality when it came out. Over
I agree with you on that.
Over greediness, over laziness, whatever it is, just release a quality game.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the main problem with this game. They did not release a quality game. It is certainly not worth the fat ass 60 smackos.
Yeah, no. I would say it has, if you're a huge Marvel fan and you go into it being aware that the story is average, but you still really want to experience it because you're that big of a Marvel fan, or like you're a huge MODOK fan or a huge Kamala Khan fan or anything like that,
or you just want to play the Avengers,
and you go in realizing that the story is kind of average, then I'd say the game is worth like $30 maybe. If you want to just play the story.
20.
Damn.
Yeah, 20.
I'm saying if you just want to play the story, wait for a good sale.
A very good sale. And I think you should wait
I
for
think
a
the
very good
story's
sale.
too short, and they cut corners on some stuff in the story.
Yeah, and overall, I think just the game overall
Literally,
is average,
they
which
have
is
a
why I'm like
moment
20. I think would be fine.
where Bruce is like, "Inhumans are disease," and Tony's like, "You motherfucker!" And then he's like, "Yeah, get mad, Bruce. Yeah, get mad. Come on, bro, let's go." And then he puts on his Iron Man suit, and his like helmet comes up, and then Bruce is like, his eyes turn green, and he turns into Hulk. He fucking grabs Iron Man up on a wall, and is like, "I'm gonna kill you, bro." And then they like jump out of a window, and they're fighting, and then Kamala's like, "No, the Avengers are being destroyed from within." And literally, like,
Kamala gets on the mic and goes,
she goes, "You guys are
You
cool."
guys,
And then
you
they
guys are
jump
being
back
purple
through the window,
diarrhea
and then they
heads.
go, and then Iron Man goes, "I'm sorry, Bruce." And then Bruce goes, "Yeah, I'm sorry too. We're now best friends."
Nah, Kamala goes, she goes on the mic and is like, you guys are being big old poo-poo heads. Poo-poo diarrhea heads. And then they come back and Iron Man's like, you know what, Bruce? I didn't realize it, but we really were being poo-poo diarrhea heads.
And then Bruce is basically like, "By my mathematical deductions, you're right."
By my mathematical reductions, you're right. I need a wipe.
I need to wipe.
I need to go wipe now.
And then Kamala doesn't even get an apology for Bruce being like, "They're a disease."
Yeah.
That is completely... Honestly, that part bugged me because it was completely swept under the rug, like it literally didn't happen. And I was like, did the writers completely forget what they wrote like 2 seconds ago? Bruce
yeah, I can tell it.
called
I
the
could tell it
Inhumans a
annoyed you.
disease, and then 2 seconds later, they're like, "That didn't happen. It didn't happen at all."
Yeah,
They
I
said
can tell.
sorry, it's okay, but they didn't even say sorry to her. They just said sorry to each other.
Yeah, I can tell it annoyed you because you're like you brought it up again.
I mean, I think that's bad writing to have a character that would
Yeah, I
clearly
think
be
it's bad writing
by
too,
something
for sure.
said like that in a room when that thing is said, and then act like it never happened for the rest of the whole story.
And it's like, all right.
That was the one part of Kamala's storyline I didn't like, is because I'm like, I don't know if that didn't really make sense to me. Because Kamala was the best part of the story, but at that part I was like, did Kamala actually completely forget what happened too?
You're like, does she have brain damage?
Yeah. Also, story is a lot better if you get the glitch when Kamala goes bald.
Yeah. And if
so
you
then
turn on
when Bruce says that Inhumans are a disease, she's standing there bald. And you're like, "Oh my god, she's right."
He's right, bald women, no. Wow. All the bald women in the comments are like, now. You know,
I just mean
they're
because
fiercely typing
a
like,
lot of
how
people,
dare
when they
you?
have some sort of like deadly disease, they go bald.
No, I know. I was joking.
But
Baba Booey.
yeah, I think we've covered like everything though. Have we?
I believe so.
I don't think the grinding is really terrible, but I want to grind towards something that will be fun, which they don't have in the game.
Yeah, that was my main point. Grinding.
They don't.
Grinding is supposed to be there to like, you know, there's supposed to be an end goal. There's supposed to be a reason that you're grinding.
Their end game is literally you get to a high level so you can do high level hives, which is basically 12 floors. Why is it 12 floors? Because it's technically 12 different levels you've already played.
Yeah.
Mashed into one giant level.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is a terrible end game. You're telling me all these missions I've grinded where I destroy this generator, I destroy that tube thing, I rescue this guy, I destroy the cells, I kill all the enemies in the room. All these different objectives that I've already done plenty of times over and over are just mashed together into a thing that just so that it's longer, and that's the end game.
Yeah.
It's so when they say 12 floors in like the final hive in the game, or 14 floors or however many, that's basically just 14 levels that you're just going through loading screens to get to the next level.
Yeah,
of
basically.
stuff you've already done.
Yeah.
And
It's
it's
like
just
the
like the highest
grind.
difficulty of those things, which it still doesn't make them interesting because you've already done them so many times.
Yeah, you grind to play
Grind.
high-level recycled content.
That's the thing, is that then you're supposed to, like, to get very, like, actual max level, they want you to grind the highest level hive. So you're literally grinding so that you have the right to grind more.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is retarded.
Dude, the end goal of my grind is to get to a point where I can grind. Frick
Another
yeah.
reason I did do the exploit to get everyone to level 50 is because I really wanted to. I wanted to have a little bit of time. I played with every single character for like an hour or two after I got them to level 50 because I really wanted to like experience how they play when they have like all of their abilities unlocked. And
Yeah.
that is the one thing I'm pleased to report is that once they're all level 50 and they have like all their abilities, they all can play so different. Not only do they all play different from each other just naturally, but you can also do things in the like mastery skill tree and stuff and change things around in order to make your Kamala play completely different from like
Another
my
Kamala.
Kamala.
Yeah, I know, I get
And
that.
I'm like, that is really cool. I like that part.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like how with
Captain
Thor.
America, dude, for example, some people completely go for melee so that
Yeah.
they're close range constantly. Other people with Cap, they're like, bro, I just want to ricochet my shield all over the
Yeah, they're
place and
like,
kill
I'm about to
everything.
sling my shield
So
around
they
and just
just focus
destroy.
completely on ranged combat, and then it's like both ways are so fun. That's the thing, is that no matter how you build your character to your liking, it's fun.
Yeah.
Whether you're a melee damage Cap or a ranged damage Cap, both ways are fun as hell.
Yeah.
That is the only thing I can give them. Gameplay is fun. Abilities are super fun to mess around with and like build your character to play the way you want.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Everything
Yeah.
else, like the story is okay. I think that's honestly,
And
at
even
the
then,
end of
it's
the
like,
day, I think the only thing people should even think about buying this game for should not be for, wow, I want to play this with my friends and I want to do the grind and I want to like fight these end game things and be epic. I don't think that should be the reason you buy it. I think you should go into it just expecting story. Like just play story and be done with it.
yeah, I agree. Plus,
That's kind of my final tot on it.
I mean,
Tot.
I mean, especially since, you know, multiplayer right now is basically fucking broken anyways, so might as well just play it alone anyways.
I feel like
if you
the
want
only
any
thing
enjoyment out of it.
I mean, I think you would have fun if you played like all the different mission types at least once, but that's about it. Like I wouldn't recommend actually grinding in the game. I would just recommend playing it to experience everything in it and then being done.
Yeah.
Like to experience the villain sectors and the vaults and stuff. Like those stuff are fun, but they're also meant for grinding. So I feel like you should just play them like once or twice and be done. Like rather than actually play them to grind.
Yeah.
So that's my tot.
that's your tot. Well,
Yeah.
my tot, my final
What's your
tot.
final tot?
That's what we'll call our ratings, tots.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. My final tot is a 4 out of 10. Don't buy this game.
Ever.
It comes with that
Not even
as
on
a
sale.
price tag. The 4 tots that you're buying come with the price tag of don't buy this game.
It's hard for me to rate, to be honest, because there's parts of it I have a lot of fun with, and I'm like, there was definitely potential here, but then there's a lot of parts I'm disappointed with, and I'm like, this is awful.
Yeah.
So it's like great and awful and disappointing all at the same time.
Yeah, for me, I gave it a 4 just because I just can't. There's no way I can ignore all the monumental flaws in the game.
Monumental.
Even if I enjoyed the gameplay, it's like I don't care about gameplay if the game is a broken mess that's pretty average overall.
Yeah, like for example, if you want a Marvel game, I would always recommend Spider-Man PS4 over this, like every single day.
Yeah.
Even at a full $60 price tag, I'd still say buy Spider-Man.
I'd even recommend fucking Ultimate Marvel Alliance 3 over this.
Yeah, that actually has a better story too.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
But it's just like
the story
in general
wasn't
a
as average.
well-made game.
It wasn't like spectacular, but it was definitely like at least slightly above average, the story in that.
Yeah, I didn't even necessarily love the game. I'm just like, I would recommend it more than this because it's actually a good quality game.
Right. It's a
that
better
was made
game.
well.
It's just maybe not your type of game, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
But it also, like I said, it had a better story as well.
Well, obviously.
And they also had MODOK.
Just about any game. Marvel.
They had a really fun MODOK boss fight in that game, too.
Yeah, just about any Marvel property would have a better story than this game, not gonna lie.
Guess what? Like, every single boss fight in that game is basically another iconic Marvel villain, so that's another thing.
Oh, yeah, and I remember there was actually kind of a lot of them, too, so.
Yeah, like, you could fight Ulysses Claw, you could fight Bullseye, Kingpin, MODOK, Thanos, like, pretty much all the members of the Black Order. And that's already a shit ton more villains.
That's almost double the roster.
Sandman, Green Goblin, Venom.
Alright, now we are past double the roster.
Yeah, there's a lot more villains in that game.
Yeah, boss exactly.
Than in this one. And they're actually all... None of them are like, oh, here's a warship.
Yeah.
And they're actually all iconic villains. They're not just like a dumbass robot.
Guys, robot, yay! Alright, rating.
Go. Bruh.
Out of 10.
Bruh, out of 10. My final tot is a four out of 10.
Whoa! So we agree. Interesting. I actually thought that you might have gone higher or lower, but I didn't think we would be like right on the same rating.
I don't know. It's pretty hard to give the game even a 5 because 5 is average.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I went below 5.
Slightly below average.
Yeah. It probably would have been between a 5 and a 6 if it wasn't buggy and glitchy.
So the way I'm looking at a 4 out of 10 is like it's kind of like it's not the worst thing ever. There is some redeeming things to it, but those things don't redeem it enough to even make it average.
Exactly, below average.
Yeah.
That's why it's like right below it because it's below average.
Yeah, so it's like it's 5 is like you didn't do anything exceptionally well or exceptionally bad. So 4 is kind of like just like a -1.
Yeah.
Like so it's like you did enough bad to not even be average, but you're also not completely terrible.
Yeah, which is mainly just because of the fact that the game is broken.
Yeah.
Like legit, if it released with just about no problems in terms of technicality, I probably would have given a 5, maybe even a 6. Although probably not that high. It'd probably be a 5.
I mean, it's kind of funny that they want to bank on multiplayer kind of being the survivability of the game. And yet, like, on release and stuff, the multiplayer works
doesn't even work
terribly. Yeah, it works terribly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, technically it works because you can play with your friends, but also, like, half of the missions, if not more, are literally unplayable.
They're like, here's an infinite load screen.
Yeah, exactly.
So technically it's working, but it's working infinitely.
It's technically working, just it's also nearly unplayable.
So yeah, those are our tots.
Those were our tots. Those were our thoughts on things. If you enjoyed, smash that
Smash
sub
that
button.
sub button.
Just
I
absolutely
was trying to say it.
throw your tater tots at it. Throw your tots at the sub button.
Bro, since it's a podcast, should we switch off on like you say like sub and I say like comment below and then you say like or whatever?
That'd probably be a good idea.
So you can cut that part off, part out.
Nah, it's a podcast. It's supposed to be raw. They can hear us talking
dude,
about.
They like to raw dog it. Don't they?
Yeah, they about to raw dog it. Brr.
All right.
All right.
Which part am I saying? Say if you
Um.
got any tots, leave them down below.
Okay. So we're gonna go subscribe. Like and dislike. Comment. Let's see here. And I don't know, maybe we could end on like just saying together, these have been our thoughts on Marvel's Avengers. Like, you know, at the same time, or as
Yeah, but we're through
at
Discord,
the same time
so
as
it'll be
we
kind of
could.
hard, like because of internet and shit, to have like it completely in sync.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be. It's just a fun little thing that, like, it doesn't have to be in sync to be fun.
Okay, I'll do.
Got 'em.
Do. If you have any thoughts on things, leave them down below.
Okay, so you want to do
The
like if
comment,
you liked
basically.
it then too,
Okay.
because we're doing subscribe,
Okay.
like, dislike,
So
comment.
you gotta do the sub thing then.
Okay. If you enjoyed hearing our tots, smash that sub button.
And if you have any tots of your own, leave them down below.
No, you messed it up.
Shit. This is raw dogging, bro.
No, we're rock dogging too hard.
Your voice is like, oh, we're raw dogging too hard.
Hold on, I got you. This is perfect. Oh no, we're raw dogging too hard.
Got him. Oh no, we're raw dogging too hard.
Alright, so it is subscribe, and then it's like, and then dislike, and then comment. Because we can't forget to mention that they need to like if they liked it and dislike it.
Why do we have to do the like and dislike before the comment? What if they just want to tell us their opinion and they don't care about like and dislike?
Well, they can just like deal with it.
Oh, whoa. Now
Yeah,
those
that's
are
right. It's
Nick's
getting
tots.
spicy, boy. That's my tots on our tots outro.
Holy shit. That's meta.
Yeah, I know, right? Damn. Nah, I just figured that's like that makes sense in the order that it is. Like, because you'd probably leave a comment after you've subscribed and liked or disliked. So it's like kind of like the order that someone probably would interact with the video.
I don't know, dude. Sometimes I rarely like or dislike a video. And that's just simply because like I prefer commenting or just like kind of just watching it and moving on.
Yeah, I know. And I do that too. Like most videos, I usually don't like interact with the likes or dislikes. But there are people.
The only thing
do.
I'll do is if it's something I really enjoyed and I'm not subbed to the person, I'll sub. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, same. But I'm saying, like, I do know there are people that, I mean, obviously, there are people that like or dislike a video.
Yeah, but if they liked it, they'll like it. We don't have to even tell them, dude. They'll like it.
Well, yeah, but there was something about, like, a statistic or something.
But I was going to do a comment thing and then the like thing.
I don't remember where I heard it, but it was some kind of
if you mention the like
statistic
first,
that
then they'll do it first.
Nah, it's just in general. If you mention subscribing and liking and stuff like that, then people who wanted to might forget if you don't mention it. Not saying that they would, But they might just not be necessarily.
The audience
yeah, I'm already insulting them.
You're already
Got 'em.
making them want to run away.
That's right. You guys are all forgetful. You have terrible memory. It's okay. You're in the group with me. I have terrible
It's okay,
memory.
guys. We're
in the terrible memory group
called
together.
The amnesiacs.
Yeah. Hell yeah. All my subscribers will be the amnesiacs because my memory sucks.
Nick, shut up. I'm taking over the podcast.
I forgot what you said already.
No, I was saying our subscribers will be called amnesiacs, and we could have that like motto be like,
yeah,
you forgot, so we reminded you.
Yeah. Baba booey.
Anyway, go.
Duh.
Go.
If you enjoyed our Tots on subscribe button, smash it.
Is that it? That was perfect.
Yeah, I thought it was. That's why I stopped.
All right, if you like button, hit it, smash it, caress it.
If you disliked, smash that dislike button.
Take a dookie on
Hell
us and
yeah.
dislike hard.
Yeah. Just absolutely shower us in dookie particles.
And if you have any thoughts of your own, leave them in the comment section below.
These have been... Wait, should we do a 1, 2, 3?
Go.
These have
been
our thoughts on Marvel's Avengers.
On Marvel's
You're slow, dude. No.
That's because I couldn't hear you very well over my own voice.
Bruh. You're supposed to go. These has been our thoughts on Marvel's Avengers.
Do it again.
These have been our thoughts on Marvel's Avengers. I said Avengers.
These have been our thoughts on Marvel's Avengers.
That just
Can't wait till Avengers 5.
Avengers. That made me think of the fucking Abunga meme. And just mixing that with Avengers is it's beautiful in my mind and my brain. That's beautiful.
Abunga.
Okay, I guess.
Yeah, I already did it.
You gonna abunga?
It should be over.
Do it again.
It should be over.
Do it again.
Abunga.
Abunga.